This game is so short that I'm putting my spoiler warning right here at the beginning. Go play A Short Hike, your time won't be wasted. When I first started playing A Short Hike, I didn't expect to like it. In fact, I probably never would have even played it if it hadn't been free on Epic Games, so I figured I might as well give it a try. And within 10 minutes, I realized it was something special. So I bought a copy on Steam and dug in, and contrary to my gut impressions, I quite liked this game about trying to summit a mountain. But why didn't I expect to like it? Well, A Short Hike belongs to a subgenre I've noticed of relaxing exploration games. For the sake of brevity, I've decided to dub this subgenre Relaxplore. Brilliant, I know. To be a Relaxplore game, a game must be simple, easy, and focused on exploration. They also usually have good art direction and satisfying movement. They're also usually not fun. These games usually have the same flaw. They're boring. Really, boredom is just the symptom, but there are a few typical afflictions that cause it. Allow me to examine the common pitfalls of this genre I just made up. There's often an extreme abundance of downtime when traveling to new locations. The designers might have thought that an exploration game necessitates lots of traveling from point A to point B, and they couldn't figure out how to make that traveling fun. There's often very little feedback from your actions, as well as having no strong goal. Both contribute to a lack of motivation to progress in the game. Finally, there's often a staggering lack of content for the length of the game, which makes much of the game feel like padding. Don't make the excuse that since these games are trying to be relaxing, a Philistine like me will think they're boring. This can't be true since A Short Hike manages the incredible feat of not being boring. But how? It's a combination of two interconnected strengths: A Short Hike's effective use of rewards, and its small world. A Short Hike is littered with collectibles, cosmetics, and upgrades. This makes the game feel like one long Easter egg hunt. At any given moment you might be looking for gold feathers, silver feathers, coins, treasure chests, treasure maps, hats, seashells, new tools, digging spots, boulders, plants, etc. Exploration is more involved than just wandering around, since you have so much to look for. But just a surplus of collectibles does not make a game good. They should be fun to collect inherently. Luckily, the game delivers on that front as well. There are a finite amount of coins, seashells, feathers, etc. It's more satisfying to collect something when you know it's one of a limited number. The only stumble in this strategy are the tools. Sticks, buckets, and pickaxes will respawn if you restart the game. Quite frankly, I have no idea why this is, especially since having additional tools does nothing, aside from increasing a number. Anyway, these rewards don't automatically make the game fun, but they serve as an excellent excuse for the player to explore more. There's one more reward to act as a carrot on a stick for the player: the story. Obviously, a story that consists mainly of trying to gain altitude isn't going to be very involved, but it doesn't need to be. The story does what it needs to, which is giving you an objective, and reaching the top of a mountain is a perfect objective for a Relaxplore game. Gaining any height feels like a concrete advancement. It's no coincidence that the most popular Relaxplore game, Journey, has a similar goal. Reaching a landmark is inherently satisfying. When you make an exploration game, I imagine it's very tempting to make the world big. After all, what better encapsulates the spirit of exploration and freedom than a massive world to get lost in? What's better is the small world of A Short Hike. But just being small wouldn't do anything if the content was paced the same. A Short Hike is a game that has enough content to be much larger and more demanding of the player's time, but all that work was crammed into a small package. The small world and great rewards combined to make this game dense. So what makes A Short Hike the greatest Relaxplore game I've played? We finally arrived at the answer to this question: density. The satisfying rewards wouldn't be so satisfying if you had to spend 5 minutes walking to get to any of them, but everything is so dense that a collectible is never far away. This density achieves the feeling that every direction is the right direction, making exploration much more fun and reducing backtracking greatly. There's no padding. Even the NPCs follow this philosophy. Each one has a unique personality and/or role. The quests have little repetition as well. If A Short Hike was a larger game, there might have been several quests for picking up trash or finding seashells or delivering items or racing the boat or finding a camping license or even multiple mountains to climb. I suppose that encapsulates the entire experience, completed before it has the chance to get old. But all that I've talked about so far is just the foundation to this game. The game does many more things well. Good art direction and satisfying movement are both staples of the Relaxplore genre, and A Short Hike has both. The game's art direction is mainly a combination of a low resolution, simple models, and a limited color palette. The low resolution suits this game well. It lends a quaint charm to the visuals. In the options, you can change the resolution from the incredibly chunky default all the way up to HD. I appreciate this greatly, since I prefer it in the middle. Allowing players more options is just about always a good thing. A higher resolution's increased clarity does offer a competitive advantage. Fortunately, in a game as casual as this, players aren't likely to care. Although if you want to speedrun or compete in the leaderboards, you'll probably go with a high resolution. The game uses outlines in a unique way. Instead of each object having an outline surrounding it, the outlines only separate objects close and far away from the camera. Everything that's far away from the camera is tinted beige. Without this, the player would be able to look at the landscape surrounding the playable area. This fog is likely a stylistic way of saving the developers the effort of creating any such landscape, or a skybox. The cartoonishly simple visuals succeed in looking pretty and supporting the pleasant atmosphere. The game's controls are satisfying, despite them being basic, pretty much just a run, jump, and glide. Although, probably what's most satisfying about the movement is upgrading it. It's staggering how fast you go from this to this. As in any game, going fast is fun, so it's great that you can go fast. Unfortunately, the controls aren't all great. Inexplicably, the camera is inverted on the horizontal axis by default, although this can be changed in the settings. Also, the run button is X, but using a trigger makes more sense, especially since the triggers do nothing. Changing this requires some external rebinding, which is easy enough on Steam, but shouldn't be necessary in the first place. My last gripe with the controls tragically cannot be fixed with rebinding. Selecting items is annoying. Every time you say find a digging spot, you have to open the menu, move your cursor to the shovel, and equip it, and then you can use the item. This might not sound like much, and really it's not that bad, but you'll need to change items every time you find a plant to water, or a boulder to break, or a fishing spot, or a digging spot. This could be fixed by making the items selectable with the D-pad or bumpers, since those currently go unused. Let's talk minigames. Beach Stickball is probably where setting the resolution to high helps out the most. Personally, it just about doubled my scores. Setting your run button to a trigger is a tremendous help as well, since your thumb is needed to swing the stick. What also helped me a lot was paying attention to the ball's shadow. Fishing is often crammed into games that shouldn't have it to add to the playtime or variety. A Short Hike is the first game I've played where I actually enjoyed it. The principal difference is how little grinding it requires. You don't have to wait too long for fish to bite. Bait makes them faster, and there's even a cheat code to make them even faster. The fish themselves aren't very rare either. You can catch all 15 species of fish very quickly. Doing this unlocks the golden rod, which makes the fish bite even faster. If you really can't get enough of the fishing, you can try for all the albino variants. Even these aren't that rare. But if that's not enough, you can try for the 3 extra special fish. To be fair, this does require some grinding to get, but it's still much better than fishing in most games. Not only is fishing completely optional, but the extra special fish are actually a secret. You can turn in your caught fish for rewards. The first of each kind of fish will give you gold, but each duplicate of that kind of fish will just return bait. This decision is nothing short of brilliant. It manages to keep the amount of coins finite and makes duplicates not feel like a waste. So not only is there not much waiting, but with the little waiting there is, you get pretty visuals and a relaxing atmosphere. Final minigame, racing, is an incredible idea. The foundation a Short Hike has set up allows for a lot of creativity in routing, and skill in executing it. Unfortunately, the game never reaches these heights, since racing is far too easy. I beat every race on my first try. Well, except that time I was disqualified for using a boat. There are 3 races. For the first 2, after you beat them once you can try for a rematch, which makes the race significantly harder. I can't express in words just how frustrating this lack of difficulty is, especially since the game has a solution built in. Racing would be so much more fun if it was actually challenging, and jacking up the challenge would be easy by adding another level or 2 to the rematches. A Short Hike is easy as a whole, but if you want something harder, you can attempt to finish the game with as few golden feathers as possible. Playing this way makes you reconsider the entire game in a new light. You won't get far without a little creativity. It turns the entire game into one big puzzle, one where you know where all the pieces are, since you've most likely experienced the island before. The fewest feathers I can manage are 2. I'd recommend a challenge run to anyone who's played the game and liked it. Me, for example. I really like A Short Hike. A lovely little game. Because it's so short, not only is it great, but it takes up less of your limited time on this earth. And I won't take any more of your time either.